So, is it possible to live in America for less than $2,000 a month? And as you guys know, I was living in Dominican Republic, renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment for less than $250 a month. I was living with my wife, my child, and I for less than $1,200 a month over there, while going to restaurants and doing basically everything we want and living in what I would call luxury, honestly. But is it possible to get something similar here for $2,000 a month? Because as you guys know, I'm back in the United States of America. And before making this video, I was waiting for one last piece of paperwork to make sure I have all my numbers correct. And in this video, I'm also going to tell you exactly what tricks we actually use to save a ton of money and what we could actually do to save even more money, okay? Now, this right here is actually my electricity bill, and I was actually missing this vital piece of information because without it, I can't honestly tell you I'm spending less than $2,000. Now, let's start off with how much money are we paying for housing? Because we are a family of 3, honestly, we could actually live in a 1-bedroom apartment, which is not a big deal, but because I work from home, I would prefer to have a separate bedroom to have my office and to do my work in. So we're actually living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with a backyard here in Oklahoma. A lot of people always ask me, Tommy, where exactly are you living in Oklahoma or in Dominican Republic or in Puerto Rico? I never say, because although I know a lot of you guys just have normal intentions of trying to find out if I can find a deal over there, also there are also a lot of weird people that could come to my house with my family and so on, so that's why I never share it. But I'll tell you my method of finding places to live that are affordable and also safe, because safety is very important. And the way I approach it is I go on Airbnb. And when I go on Airbnb, I look at all the towns, all the cities, and I see exactly what city I like best, and I rent something there and I try it out with Airbnb, and I basically see if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. That's the whole idea. Honestly, all right? That's basically it. However, though, right here for this house, we're actually paying $1,075 per month. And honestly, I'm going to tell you this, we're actually paying way too much money. A house like this usually rents for about 900 to 950 bucks. You could maybe even find one for like less than that, but we paid a lot more money because our Airbnb reservation was about to be out. We didn't really know all the market rate information in the area, so we ended up paying about $175 above market rent. We tried to negotiate with the landlord. She is not open to it. So my advice to you is, when you're going to be renting, switching from an Airbnb or going directly into a rental, do your due diligence and don't just check Zillow. Check also Facebook Marketplace to see what the going rent is in that area, and also ask around, because Zillow might give you a whole different perspective on prices, but Facebook might reveal exactly what prices actually go for in the area. Now, if you guys want a full video and a full tour of this house, let me know. But the answer is, you do have a nice backyard. I'll show you guys some footage, and it's a nice room overall. However, we are paying a lot of money, okay? But that's the first bill we actually have, $1,075. And there are ways to save money on rent. We could actually move a little bit down further and basically get an apartment for like $800, maybe even $700, but those are a little hard to come by. And then I have to worry about, well, what about the safety perspective and also the comfort perspective? So that's why we're here for the moment. Now, the second thing is actually, Tommy, how much money are you guys spending on your utilities? And by the way, guys, okay, before I get to my utilities, I do want to mention that when I lived in Puerto Rico, I was spending about $700 on rent, but I actually bought a house. And when I bought that house, I was spending no money whatsoever on any housing because the house was basically mine. And there are a lot of houses here in Oklahoma that go for about $30,000, $40,000, $50K, and they are livable. So you could potentially save up some money and buy a home, and you don't have to worry about rent payments. I have a friend, and what he did was basically he bought a plot of land and he actually built his own house. It was actually incredible. And I know someone that actually did this for about like $20,000 for the house, and he paid cash for the land, and basically he lives mortgage free. So there are a lot of ways to get your shelter payments or bill down. Now, for our utilities, guys, I gotta be honest with you guys, okay? This is a lot of money compared to what I'm used to paying in Dominican Republic. In Dominican Republic, we were spending about like 2 to 4 thousand pesos a month. That's the equivalent of about like $40 to $80. That is basically it. But here, though, it is a lot more expensive. And I'm gonna tell you, okay, for our electricity bill, we are spending about $172 per month. For our gas bill, we are spending about $40 per month. And for our water bill is $27, and for sewage is about $21. All in all, it's almost about like $300, a little bit more per month. And on top of that, you also have to consider in utilities like our phone bill, our internet bill. Internet bill is about like $40 to $60, and our phone bill, well, I'm paying about like 20, and my wife is paying like 0 because it came with the internet bill, which is actually pretty good if you ask me. But that's basically it. So all in all, we're looking at around like $360 for our utilities in this house. There are a lot of ways to save a lot of money on utilities. You could do solar panels, but that's a little stupid when you're renting, because why would you install an asset on somebody else's house? It's kind of crazy. You could actually try to turn off lights. We're not really wasteful when it comes to electricity. It's just what you're actually going to be paying in the area where we're actually living. For some people, I heard them pay basically $300, $400, $500. So for us, it's a lot of money, but for some people out there, compared to them, it's like pennies, okay? Because it's been so much more. Because I've heard of stories that people that actually turn on the air conditioner and they actually open up the windows because they get too cold, or when they turn the heat on, they get too hot. That is really dumb, okay? That is not a smart idea. Not at all right? So you don't want to do that. Now, on top of that, guys, let's talk about our groceries. This is going to be very surprising, but people told me that when you have kids, you're going to spend a ton of money on your kid, all right? The answer is we don't spend any money on our baby. Our baby's about like 8 months. All she does is drink breast milk, honestly. And we do give her some solids every now and then, but even that, we just give her some of the food that we basically eat. That's basically it. So it's like a smaller portion of what we eat. Now, the way I actually go about this is, guys, I've been here for about 3 months, and I noticed that when we were actually shopping at Walmart, we were spending so much money. It was ridiculous. It was just money, money, money on food, food, food. And I was like, this is crazy. What's going on? So we went ahead and we actually found a local farm, and we bought $175 worth of beef. Now, that might sound like a lot of money, and it is, but that gave us enough beef, literally, I'm thinking, for like the next 3 months or so, okay? Which is actually a very good deal. On top of that, chicken. To save money on chicken, we don't buy chicken breasts in my family. We don't buy chicken wings in my family. We don't do none of that stuff, okay? We buy whole chickens, like pastured raised chickens. And that's the main thing, okay? We want to save money on food, but not at the detriment or the cost to our health. So one big thing is we go out there and we try to find organic stuff and all that good stuff so we can actually live longer, happier lives. So we buy whole chickens. My wife processes them in totality, and we kind of cook those. A lot of times we basically put them in the oven. It's less work, but it basically gives us a lot more to go on. So all in all, I would say we're spending somewhere about $500 on food. Now, that is not a tight budget for us. That is a lot of money. If you want this, get it. It's not a big deal, okay? If we had to tighten things down, we could literally spend less than $300 a month. I call that a little bit of meat, rice, and beans. That's basically it, okay? There are ways to do it. Now, for the fourth category here is going to be how much are we spending on transportation? And boy, I am upset, okay? We spend a ton of money on gas. I am not used to this at all, okay? In Dominican Republic, we're living literally in a little small town, okay, if you can call it that. And it's like 15 minutes, like 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes another way. Everything is literally right there, okay? You can walk anywhere. I would walk to my grandma's house, walk to my in-laws' house. Nothing is far, okay? Everything is right there. However, though, we were spending over there maybe like $100 or $150 a month on fuel, but over here, guys, we were spending a lot more money. And a big part of that is because whenever we want to go somewhere, we have to drive with the car. And this is not living, for example, in a city type thing, okay? So if you want to go somewhere, you're driving 15, 20 miles or like 30 miles or so, okay? So 30 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and it is a little, cost ineffective with your gas. However, though, the big mistake I made is, well, not a mistake because I don't regret it, but we actually bought a Honda Pilot Touring Edition, and it's a big vehicle. It is awesome. It is so comfortable. But I tell you, man, I think it drinks water while it's off. When the car shut off, I'm almost guaranteeing it's drinking gasoline, all right? It is drinking all the gas we put into it. And I'm running an experiment because before I was putting the lowest price gas in it, and now I'm putting premium gas to see if it lasts longer or if there's nothing I can do about it, okay? But the big thing is it is a V6 engine. It is a very good car, and that's why, it's not like cost effective, but it does make sense for us and it helps us a lot. So I'm not planning on selling that car anytime soon. It just is what it is. On insurance, we're spending about $60 a month, but you pay that like every quarter or so. And then for our gas bill, we're spending somewhere about like $200. Now, if you do the math, you're going to notice that this is beyond $2,000. It's actually closer to about $2,200. So for us personally and our family, can we actually live on less than $2,000, less than $24,000 a year, less than $12 an hour? The answer is yes, we can. But currently we're spending a little bit more money because we are doing a little bit more flavoring, okay? And that's not even, and by the way, that food bill also includes the food we actually feed our dogs. It includes basically almost everything. But there are some things in there that I don't have included. For example, when we go out to eat and we want to have like a date or we want to buy something that we usually don't buy, okay? So there are things we spend money on that's not a part of this budget. But the answer is if we needed to, this is all a person really needs to live, okay? So if we need to, we could live off this and have no problem whatsoever. Now, I also want to take some time to kind of tell you guys some ideas I actually have when it comes to extreme ways to save money. The number one thing that helps us spend a lot, like not spend a lot of money, is we cook almost 90% of our meals here at home. And we buy everything in cash for the most part. We have a paid off car, and I've honestly even looked into buying a property here while we're here to save money, okay? Because when you do the math, it might make sense to just buy something and then resell it for a little bit of profit in the future, okay? Let me know in the comments down below, how much money are you spending per month and what is your family size? I think if we had like 5 more kids or like 10 more kids, our food bill wouldn't be as much either way because they just eat a little bit more of what we eat. It would be a big problem though if we tried, going to restaurants and all this other stuff because it's like $20 per head. And that's when things get expensive.